Hey guys, welcome back to Demon Souls, and we're going to start off by doing the 3-3 level, which is a very short level. And of course, since I'm playing this offline, we're not going to see the old monk being another player, as it would back in the day. So I'm actually going to use hypermode on this boss, just because the NPC that it summons is really easy to begin with. I do equip soul remains here because honestly the most annoying enemies are the mind flayers on the way to the boss room here. But there's only two of them. There is a crystal lizard behind the second one that is quite hard to get to. Soul remains are just really good for most enemies if you just don't want to fight them at all. So I just throw one in the ceiling there, and then it's just an easy kill. But yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drain my life to 30% using the Makoto, and then I'm going to equip the Morian Blade and the two rings, so the Clever Rat's Ring and the Dull Rat's Ring, and then I'm going to basically use hyper mode on the boss. Gonna cut out the me draining all my life because it will take a while. Yeah, these enemies can be very annoying. Still not taking that much health from me though, which is nice. So this is probably the easiest way to do it. I mean, you could try and find an enemy and reduce your health by blocking their attacks, but that is a little bit more risky, obviously. So after I got my HP all the way down, we're going to cast Warding, and then we're going to go in with hyper mode. I think my attack rating is about 1250 right now. 1150, yeah. 1150. And I just two-shot him. Yeah. I mean, this boss isn't very difficult to begin with, but I just found that incredibly funny. So I'm not going to use hyper mode for the rest of the bosses because it is a little cheap in this case. If I do end up playing New Game Plus at all, I probably will just try and use it for all the bosses, just because it'll be relatively fun to use it within Northern Regalia, but yeah. Since we're pretty much getting to the end of the game, I'm finally going to put those 2 points into magic that I said I would earlier, because you need that for the Northern Regalia, and I don't have them yet, so yeah. And then we're going to do the entirety of 1-3. This level isn't too bad, I found, but there is the part at the end which can be quite annoying. But you can come here pretty much after you kill any archdemon, and it might be a bit more of a challenge at that point. We are going to come back to this area here because we are going to free Uriah, but I am going to not free BR at all because he'll actually help you with the boss every time if you free him, and the boss is really not going to be much of an issue at all. So you get a lot of time to actually dodge those. Making sure I got the crystal lizard over here. This one actually dropped the pure sharpstone, so that was nice. I think the crystal lizards will actually give you better or more chance for rare items if you are in pure black world tendency. Just something to note as well. But like I said, you can only farm them so many times per playthrough. If you don't get the pure stone that drops exclusively from them, you're going to have to go to New Game Plus. So I'm just here to kill this assassin, but we're going to take the other route here on the left. World 1 is also really good for farming grass if you need grass at any point. A lot of the enemies in this area specifically will drop full moon grass, so yeah. And the thief ring also makes this area a lot easier because the archers on the right side there won't shoot at you until you get really close. And then we've got the classic Boulder Trap there. These enemies seem to drop their weapons, the secret dagger, quite a lot. But you could already get a free one in 3-1 anyway, so yeah. So I kind of make a bit of a mistake when we come to the top of this area here. You should probably go over to the other side and kill all the archers there, but I decided not to bother doing that. And you're going to see what happens because of that. So they don't deal that much damage now really, but there is a red-eyed knight right here. He by himself wasn't too big of a trouble, obviously. But then I kind of got like comboed a bit here, and then I jumped over the wall because I was next to it, which was like, oh, well shit. So I've got to go all the way back round. Yeah, if you're standing next to something that's letting you climb on it, you basically will automatically do it, so that wasn't ideal there. So the only reason to go into that house, I believe, is the Dregling merchant. The last time you'll see him. I think he's selling some new stuff like the Night Sword, I believe. I didn't know there was another guy around the corner here.
We meet again, fancy that. Hope you find something that suits you. Hard times, eh? I'm sure you'll turn things around.
You do get a great sword here for free, just outside. Pretty much the Zweihander of this game though, it's just called the Great Sword in this game. So the rest of this level is pretty much going to be going through to open the shortcut, and then we're going to go ahead and free Uriah. there's no real reason for us to do that because she's not going to give us any spells that we care about. But I may as well do it. The main thing is she usually gives you Cursed Weapon and Firestorm, so if you're interested in either of those spells, you definitely want to free her as soon as possible and get them. Cursed Weapon is especially good because of for heavy weapons specifically, because it gives you a flat 50% damage bonus. It also does drain your life while it's active, but if you use something to buff your weapon, like the Talisman of Beasts, that you don't have stats to use, it'll actually kind of reduce the level drain, or sorry, the life drain to 1 HP per second, which is pretty much nothing. So yeah, not having the stats actually makes it easier for you to to combat the life drain, which is kind of strange. I remember there being something similar in Dark Souls 1 before they patched it for Power Within with the Pyromancy Flame, or it was something like if you used an unupgraded Pyromancy Flame because there was no requirements for it, then Power Within would drain less health from you. I remember it being something like that, but I think it was eventually patched. So yeah, all the enemies here really do drop a lot of grass, but there's very little we've actually needed to use just because I'm waiting for the HP regen anyway. So you can see the fog gate all the way up there, where the boss is. There is quite a lot of enemies at the end path here. There's 3 in particular that are always very annoying, which is the spear guys. But we'll get to them. But what we're going to do is take the long route up to the shortcut at the start of the level. The first thing you need to do for this is kill this official here. He doesn't seem to notice until you actually walk up and backstab him for some reason. And I don't know what happens to those enemies at the top, but they just seem to disappear as soon as I open the gate for some reason. As you can see. Maybe they just went back to their original position, I'm not sure. So you'll notice that we picked up the official's cap from that fat official in right there. We'll need that later on for the Uria quest. But now the keys that we got off the other fat official earlier in the level will open the door back before the Tower Knight room on the right here. So this is where basically the final area of 1-2 was, that we couldn't get to before without this key. There's nothing too hidden here. The main thing here is you want to kill this fat official because he's going to give you another set of keys for the tower area. And of course Biora is actually here. But like I said, I'm not going to free him because all he does is help with the boss, and then he helps you in 1-4 again. That's all he really does in the game. So I'm actually just going to leave him in that cell over there. But if you remember back to 1-2, you'll remember there's an item that we just never got on the other side of the Dragling Merchant. That item is all the way down here, after this Crystal Lizard. And it's the shield, the tower shield. I think it weighs like 30 units. It does weigh a lot. And honestly, there's better shields that you can use. They're just medium shields. So now that we've done all that, and that's all that's really in that area, we're going to go ahead and head up to the tower where Uria is. It's going to take us a while to get over there. Yeah, so like I mentioned, Uria will give you some different spells, but we're not too concerned about it really. The boss of this area will also give you the soul required to use light weapon, which is the other sort of enchant buff that's really good. That one you pretty much just want to pump magic to like as much as you can to get the most benefit out of it. It's not a percentage based thing, it will just add a flat amount of damage to your weapon. One thing that you're going to have to note here is you need to be wearing the official's cap for them to lower the bridge at the top of this area. So coming here before you get that is pointless. So I go ahead and drop off and get this item first. We're actually going to use all those souls before we head to the last level. I'm just going to cut it out because it will take us a while to actually use all of them. And we're going to backstab this fat official, who seems to just care about us wearing a hat and nothing else.
Heavens, you came to save me. Thank you. No, I'm fine. With a little rest, I can soon walk. You go on ahead. I do not wish to be a dead weight.
And that's all we need to do here. Nothing really else for us here. The ring of magical nature that I picked up was the ring that gives you an additional magic slot, which can be useful. It's just your rings in this game are quite limited because you only have slots for 2 of them. Whereas in Dark Souls 2 and 3, you get 4. And usually if you're in soul form, you'll want to use the cling ring for a decent amount of health. And then that kind of leaves 1 ring for you to use, really. And that's usually, in my case, the Thieves' Ring is permanently on, pretty much. So yeah, can be a little tricky. Also note, when you open the gate that I was at before, that we just passed through, that's when you would get the Ostrava quest line, because he would appear again, ask you to be saved again. So the enemies in this area can actually deal quite a lot of damage. You're going to see me make quite a few mistakes coming up. Just because I'm being careless more than anything else, really. So these 3 enemies at the top, the Spear Knights, I always have trouble with them if I'm not using like ranged attacks. So I tried to use the R2 here, but I just keep getting hit by them. And when they do the charging attack, they just combo you like that. So I end up using a slow remains just to make it easier. And it does make it a lot easier every time, of course, because they just immediately turn. I probably could have kind of baited them out one at a time and then easily dealt with them that way, but these guys are always annoying. There's not too many of them in the game, but yeah. So that's it pretty much for this level. Now we just gotta go ahead and fight the boss, which isn't going to be very difficult. This guy's attacks can be sort of strange because they're delayed a little bit, especially this one here. As you can see, kind of delays his actual attack there, even though he spins his sword round. I get hit with it here, but you can see how good warding is, as I literally just tank a few hits from him. Yeah, warding is really, really good against physical enemies, or enemies that deal physical damage at least. Kind of ridiculous. So yeah, that was Penetrator, and it didn't take us very long at all to kill him. And of course, you can get help from BR if you actually do save him as well to make that fight even easier. If he does hit you and you don't have warding and your vitality's low, he can actually deal a decent amount of damage, but yeah. Aside from that, he's not terribly threatening if you go to him later on. Here I am looking for the Morian blade that I stashed for some reason.
Wait.
So we're going to go ahead and talk to Yuria, and after that we're going to do the last archdemons, and then finish 1-4, kill the boss there, and then finish up the game.
Hello again. You saved me from great agony. I am sorry, for I cannot offer proper thanks. If you wish, however, I can teach you magic in trade for demon souls. But my witchcraft is of a dark nature, and arouses suspicions. Why not try the magic of Great Sage Frake? Are you certain you wish to learn witchcraft? It would honor me to assist one such as you, but are you sure? I owe my life to you. If you're ever in need of witchcraft, speak to me. It is a dark art, but it is all that I can offer.